Okay. Hello everyone who is watching. I'm Mandy, and this is Brianna or Brianna?
Oh, Brianna, or either one.
Either one. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And we are going to be talking about Anthropology 101, which is one of the dialogue topics. I wasn't totally sure what to expect when I did it. I took some anthropology classes in my undergrad, so I was all excited. And it's actually a kind of interactive site. It's kind of like an online course that a professor, I believe from Kansas State, created. And it's kind of anyone can jump on it and take the course and go through the videos and the challenges and the lessons and everything. So that's kind of the overview. If there's anything you want to add on that.
Okay, well, I read the anthropology. When I looked at the site, a couple of things that caught my eye were the lessons that the author gave, and also because he gave a lot of really good lifelong lessons, and he also had some challenges, and
Mm-hmm.
everything was a video. And he did do his entire anthropology blog was made with videos, and within the videos, he experimented with different things and teaching lessons and doing some challenges with some other people to make points, and I really took away from that. And I was really happy when somebody from this class decided they wanted to do ANTH 101, because I felt that ANTH 101 was one of the most interesting topics on here, the study of how people are interacting with each other in different cultures. So to see somebody actually participate in a lot of activities um, made it a lot of fun to view and comment on. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, for those who haven't done this dialogue before, the lessons, there's 10 lessons. They kind of each break it down, as Brianna mentioned, about the study of people and interactions. And then it comes with a challenge kind of for each of those lessons. So, for instance, lesson one is called People Are Different. And one of the challenges is talking to a stranger and actually going up and getting someone's
mhm,
life story and interviewing them and getting a picture and everything. And I thought that was really, really cool because I think for me, if I were to take a challenge and do something like that, it would be so
mhm,
difficult to just go and find a random person, introduce myself, ask them about their life.
mhm.
I think that'd be so difficult just to do that. So I like that. And throughout all those lessons and some of his videos, he prompts all these different challenges he has for his students. Um, so, I mean, let's see some of the other lessons on there that are interesting. There's the art of seeing, being human, hidden
Mhm.
assumptions, a bunch more. Other challenges that are pretty interesting are, let's see, I know one was the 28-day challenge where you have to do something for 28 days. And like the professor chose running. And so he had to do that
Mhm.
every day and you had to reflect. And it was kind of like breaking habits and things like that. So I found that really cool that it's not just like, oh, we're going to read and study this, but he challenges the students to actually go out and do something and try
Mhm.
something that is, doesn't seem like it would be something for a class, but it's really breaking the barrier a lot. So I really enjoyed that part.
Did you see the one where he went out in the ice bath and his friend had challenged him to taking a bath in a bucket of ice, basically? And then and he decided to do it because he said that when you try new things that you wouldn't ordinarily do with people that are close to you, you build that bond. And
Yeah.
then he started doing it with strangers. And they
Yeah.
started taking ice baths together, like ice, they started getting in their bathing suits and jumping in a bucket of ice. And apparently it's supposed to do something really good for your circulatory system there. So
I
like,
don't know
oh,
if I
that's
would do that.
interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
I do it either, but maybe on a really hot day.
Yeah.
But
Um, and then another thing is like for the people, you can actually like join an Instagram or something like that with this class, or anyone who's decided to kind of start and take this class, for the people who aren't necessarily with the university or whatever. And it's really cool. I mean, you don't, just from the, little parts I read and the videos I saw, you really don't, I guess, it's not like reading a textbook, and I don't know if that's anthropology or if it's just the way the professors really presented it, but it's really opening up the student's eye, or whoever's experiencing this, their view on everything, and really how people interact. And I thought that was very, very cool. I wish I had more time, because I would have definitely liked to, maybe in the future or over the summer, I will explore some of these more and maybe take some of those challenges to a classroom, just to get students out of their shell. So
that's a good idea. And that's something that, that's definitely something that we could, I know as a teacher, I could experiment with in the classroom, take this challenge of talking to so many new people within this amount of time, do something. It doesn't have to be as extreme as taking an ice bath, but it can be something just like just find somebody to, I don't know, do an art project with, or find somebody to do any kind of project with. So that is, I really like how that the idea relates to your own classroom teaching experience.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you can use it for all different contents, just whether it's team building or whatever. But I think for kind of more of an advisement class or something like that, if they're, throughout a course of a semester, have them go through this type of course to really, expand their views on things. Because sometimes in a content class, you don't have the time to really dig deep into getting into those really big society and social views. Whereas, in an advisement class, you might be able to. So, and it's very interactive. I mean, we talk about a lot in this class, the different technologies and things like that. It's not just like a guy up there lecturing. I mean, the professor's videoing, but he's like on a bike, he's on roller skates, he's running. I mean, he's all over the place, and he has his students' videos on there. He's taking ice baths. I mean, and he's videoing all of them. He has podcasts. There's the Instagram. I mean, it's kind of like how this course is, how we have like kind of a podcast thing, and we also have the Slack page and the hypothesis. I mean, I think that's like a wonderful way to do things. And I think, so I think it's a very good like way to, I guess, incorporate that. I think it's a really good example of kind of what we've seen in classes, or what we've seen in this class, and how it's been put into like a real life another class, I guess. So.
I agree. One of my favorite lessons that he had, one of my favorite videos of his, is when he talks about going to New Guinea. He talks about meeting all these people and embracing their cultures. And one of the connections that I made with the guy, believe Michael Wish was his name, and he is from he's from small town Nebraska. He's from a very little town, and if you know anything about the Midwest, I know I grew up in the Midwest in very small town Michigan, so I could understand when he said, I could relate to the fact when he said, I was very scared. I was very leery of other cultures. And in order to get over his anxiety of being around other cultures, he decided to do a complete turnaround and go to a place that had a completely different culture.
Yeah.
And I think I know that growing up in a small town increased my desire to travel and move around. And my sister went to Japan to live there for 5 years. And I often wonder if sometimes being from a very enclosed environment makes you want to get out, and it makes you a little bit more, it makes you want to experience other cultures and expand your viewpoints.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same way. I also grew up in a small town, and it was honestly like just going to college was almost a culture shock. And then when I did go abroad and studied abroad and traveled, it was unreal how much of a culture shock it was. And I think what I liked about it is he doesn't focus on like one culture or this and that. He focuses on so many different things, and even kind of the subcultures in our own society, and how do you see these things, these concepts they talk about in everyday life. So I really liked that aspect of it too. I thought he just really did well, and I mean, he connected so well with what students, I guess, what students see, what they kind of already think, and attached his curriculum kind of to those, and then expanding it more. So I think he did a really cool job with that. And I guess one of my big questions, which I had, was, I mean, would you see yourself using like this, I guess, this type of setup for a class or something like that in your own class? It's kind of different because I know, we're not college professors, so we don't have online classes usually. But I mean, would you see yourself adapting this kind of model or anything like that to your courses?
I think that I could use something like this. As I'm an English teacher, so I think I could use something like this as a research project. Obviously, students can't maybe go out and go to another place, but what they can do is work with somebody they haven't worked with before, like we are doing right now, and uh, and study up on an entirely new culture and study their dress, what they eat, what they do in their culture, their methods for finding jobs, anything. You could have different categories to research different cultures. And we touched on that a little bit, but the students did not research as many cultures as they could have because of time's sake. But it would be nice to have a project where they research various cultures. I had them research India because our author was from India, but to have them research maybe people like all these different countries, more countries than that, and then do that same kind of presentation for that would be a good thing to do. That is something I would like to talk about one day.
Yeah, definitely. Like I teach Spanish, and so for me, we do a lot of culture stuff, but I think a lot of kids just, they don't, I mean, especially like Spanish 1, they've never really studied a culture before or really know how to study a culture before. And I think this website, definitely the lessons, the videos, and probably the challenges as well, really give the students the opportunity to find out how to study a culture. I mean, it's more than just being like, oh, what kind of music do they listen to? Like, what's the capital? I mean, it's so much more than that. And it's really about the people and diving into that. So I think for me, I would definitely use it maybe as like a intro, like beginning of the year type thing, so they know from there on out, okay, right, how do I think about culture? We talked about it, way back when, and what did we do? And it's something as a reference point when they do those big research projects to go back to, and to remember, how do I observe, how do I research this? That's more than just like their history and that stuff. So I would definitely use it. This was probably one of my favorite dialogues that I've done so far.
Oh, good. I like it too. And this is a really good topic. And I think you bring up a really good point about the Spanish class because I know our school has Spanish classes, and I feel that a lot of the time students often think that they are taking Spanish to learn the language, in which they are learning the language, but they are not only learning the language, they are learning the culture and the history of the country. And I think that is something that if the instructor puts forth, then I think that'll be very valuable to them in learning the language. Understanding the culture will help them learn the language.
Oh yeah, I think it's half the battle is understanding the culture, no matter where you go. So yeah, I think it's super important, and I think I think in all subjects, it's science and math. I struggle a
Mm-hmm.
little bit to see the relevance, not relevance, but how it can be super applicable. But
Mm-hmm.
English, languages, art, social studies. I mean, I definitely see how something like this could easily be used in the classroom. So
Definitely.
yeah. So overall, I give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think everyone, if they have the time, go check it out. It's a really cool resource and it's really interesting too. So
Right. I would second that. I agree. It is. And I really liked the fact that I didn't have to look around. He had
mhm.
everything in such a perfect list. He had, oh, here are my lessons. Here are my challenges. Here are some resources that you might want to check out. So I felt the guy was very personable. He did documentaries with his, there was one where he put his sister in the videos a lot, and his sister was a very different person than him. They were
Mhm.
two very different personalities, and I really liked how he incorporated that in his, he incorporated his family into his videos, trying to explain, well, my sister is into country music. I personally don't like country, but I learned how to line dance, and I started listening to some country music just to understand her perspective, just to see her side of things. And the point he was making was that sometimes we don't all agree with people, but it is by giving what they like a chance, then we can see their perspectives and understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. He also, I don't know if you saw it, it was one of the, if you go to the video sections, it was one of the first. It was like learning from Baby George and
Mm-hmm.
handstands. I think he
Mm-hmm.
had his son, or maybe, I'm not sure how he was related. I think it was his son. His son was learning like how to take a step basically, and he was falling and everything. And then he was learning how to do handstands. And he's actually in his class in his lecture hall doing handstands, lecturing.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it was so cool. And the whole kind of point of it was like it kind of just like talked more about learning and how learning is fun, and the only way to learn is to make mistakes and to fail. And I thought it was really cool. I think that's a great way to open up a class. Like, you're gonna learn, it's gonna be hard, but like it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be so rewarding. And I think our students completely forget that sometimes. Like,
Yes.
yeah, you might be learning this one specific thing in class, but the skills you're actually learning or practicing like are going to be so helpful and enjoyable to use. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
yeah. All right. Well, I will go ahead and stop the recording.